Hello and welcome to Mayday Media. We're pointing out a few articles on the internet. Got a couple for you today that you might be interested in, you might not be interested in. We're going to talk about them. One of them here is Letitia James. So she's prepared to seize Trump buildings if he can't pay the $354 million civil fraud fine. Now, I would say he first is able to file bankruptcy if he can't pay the fine before he loses his property. That's normally how it goes. But when we're living in a communist totalitarian regime with very low impulse control and low IQ people seeming to take these power positions for some ungodly, unknown fucking reason that I wouldn't let run a mop across the fucking floor at a convenience store, if you wanted my obvious opinion. Donald Trump owes $87,000 daily interest on his historic fraud penalties. We'll get into this. We're just going to hit a few pieces of it and talk about it, but this is what those truckers were going to do their thing about. They've backed down now, I guess. Don't blame them. I think it just ended up being another January 6th, and just a lot of people in jail that don't need to be there. The only way you're going to get it back is a united, unloaded gun walk at your city, county, and state level. It has to be done on the same day, and everybody's got to sign a registry. And this should be common known. Anyway, we'll start here. Oh, first of all, like, subscribe to the channel. Help me out. Let's get some of this out here to people. 4 days after a judge ordered former President Donald Trump to pay $354 million in a civil fraud case, New York Attorney General Letitia James told ABC News that she is prepared to seize the former president's asset if he is unable to find the cash to cover the fine. If he does not have funds to pay off the judgment, then we will seek judgment enforcement mechanisms in court, and we will ask the judge to seize his assets. Yeah, totalitarian, communist fucking government. I mean, I don't get it. Trump was fined that much money, approximately $100 million in pre-judgment interest on Friday, from Engoron determined that he inflated his net worth in order to get more favorable loans, which it all came out that he didn't inflate. That O'Leary guy explained how these things work. Everybody knows this. If you're in real estate, they're always shooting for a higher bid. Even if it's a house, you negotiate down. The banks said that they didn't want him to be banned because they do a lot of business with him. And then here's this low IQ, low impulse thing with a law degree going after his stuff. One thing that I know from history that I've read and looked into is that there are certain times in history that whites are in control of an area, and for some reason they start to feel sorry for another species, and they've already put shoes on their feet, gave them running water, housing, and that ain't enough. And then they want power, and pretty much they start writing laws to take all of your shit, and after that they write laws to take your life. And this is something that happens time and time again throughout history. It's something you might want to look into. With that said, I'm probably moving to a small Asian country by 2030. I've already kind of made my decision. It looks like America's very unrecoverable, and it's pretty much in the toilet now. Let's continue here. Saying that she was very confident with the strength of her case on appeal, James reiterated that her office would not hesitate to seize Trump's assets. And I'm pretty sure he's able to file bankruptcy before they start seizing your property. I mean, it's not like he's owing taxes. The IRS is known to seize stuff. James directly counted the banks seize things. I mean, if you can't pay, the bank would take it back. Lack any victims, instead describing her case as a vital to ensuring financial markets treat New Yorkers fairly. Look at that thing. I mean, look at that. Yeah, no. Financial frauds are not victimless crimes. He engaged in his massive amount of fraud. It wasn't just a simple mistake, a slight oversight. The variations are widely exaggerated. Blah, blah, blah. Well, I know that Mar-a-Lago is worth lots of fucking money. Way more than they claim that it's worth. It was a ridiculous amount, like something like 18 million. And I seen where they showed a house that was like a third of the size with nothing that Mar-a-Lago has, and it was going for like 45 million. So I mean, it's ridiculous. This is all it's just people to use their power, I guess. I don't know. He owes $87,000 daily on his historic fraud case. When most New Yorkers wake up, they might splurge by spending a few bucks on coffee and bagel. Every morning Trump wakes up, he owes $87,500 in interest on the massive legal penalties he received last week. The pain is set to continue until he pays off the entirety of nearly $500 million in fines and interest in his Manhattan civil fraud case. The devastating judgment is handed down by Manhattan Supreme Court Justice Arthur Engoron on Friday against the former president. On his long-term Trump Organization, executives will increase by 9% annually until resolved. That comes to $87,500 per day, according to the state's Attorney General's office, more than most New Yorkers make in a year. On an annual basis, the interest alone puts $32 million dent in Trump's pocket. Engoron's blistering ruling found the Republican frontrunner for president, his former finance chief, Alan Wahib, liable for 6 claims alleging they intentionally committed fraud by routinely lying about how much he was worth, often by billions of dollars, in deals with financial institutes. His crew liable on top before the months-long trial even started. Yeah, they're suing his sons and his staff. Trump was on the hook for only $364 million in pre-interest penalties to pay back. The judge ordered Trump and entities he owns and controls to pay back a whopping $168,040,168. That represents the interest he saved from lying about his net worth loans. Wall Street skyscraper and his Chicago hotel. The clock on the interest owed began the day the AG started investigating Trump in 2019. How does that happen? How do you start getting hit with interest for a ruling that happens 5 years later? That's, in my opinion, bullshit. $4 million in their cut. That's what Eric and Don Jr. owe, at least $4 million each. Trump, who has vowed to appeal, can't stop the clock. He has until mid-March to post the total amount in an amount controlled by the court and secure a bond. Wow. The penalty, I mean, look at this. This is crazy. Penalties have enraged Trump, who cited his legal woes to rally his diehard supporters. When added the outstanding $88.3 million he owes, writer E. Jean Carroll, from who he was found liable for. So yeah, that's a screwball nut. I'm sure you've heard her antics. If he's able to post, he's able to come up with the cash that he needs to get a full bond, he'll probably do just that. If he isn't, he'll probably ask the appellate court to lower the amount of the bond requirement. And if they refuse and he can't raise the money, then he's in real trouble because the judgment creditors can enforce their judgment against his assets. Okay. Not guilty to 91 felonies in 4 states, which combined 600 years in penalty. Man, really, talk about stress. That's why I just want to be a nobody who reads articles and moves to another country. Nuts. All right, guys. Like and subscribe. And toodaloo.